Canada hasn't yet been able to hit that 2% of GDP commitment to defense demanded by NATO. Now the organization's looking at moving that ask to something like 5%. Let's talk about defense spending with Benjamin Tal, Deputy Chief Economist at CIBC. He joins us now on this. Benjamin, you say the investment that we are making right now, which is $31 billion over the next 4 years, would actually be a multiplier. Can you tell us how and where?
Yes, absolutely. I think that we are committed to increase spending in a very significant way. Today, it's about 1.4% of GDP. Now, let's face it, despite that Trump is Trump, he's not wrong on everything. The president is absolutely right about the border. Every country deserves a secured border, and the border with Mexico is not secured. The president is not wrong about China, and clearly he's not wrong about defense. We have a situation in which Canada and many other NATO countries have been basically free riders. The US has been subsidizing NATO for a long period of time, and this is going to change. So we are seeing significant change in Europe, even Japan, but clearly in Canada, we are now committed to 2% over 5 years of GDP. This is a significant increase of about $31 billion. Now, to your question, absolutely. People say, is it a bad thing or a good thing? Now, the multiplier of defense spending, namely the contribution to the economy, the spin-off to the economy, this contribution is actually positive. It's not negative. It's adding to the 31 billion because you have other things happening. You have training, you have maintenance, you have soldiers leading the infrastructure. So it's actually adding to the economy, and especially through research and development, where military is very important.
Okay, so how does this investment in defense military compare to other investment as far as bringing more productivity, more money into the economy?
It's basically the same, and quite frankly, it would have been much better to spend that money on health or education. There is no question about it. But this is not an option anymore. We are committed to increase defense spending to 2%. This is a commitment that the government made, so we are stuck with that. Given that we are committed to that, the question is it a good thing or a bad thing? How can we maximize the economic benefit coming from defense spending? Again, I would rather see a situation in which all this money goes to defense and to education and health, but that's not the case.
Okay, part of the challenge, as I understand, Benjamin, from what you've written and others, is that Canada does not produce defense equipment very much, and so we are really having to pay to outside contracts to get things done.
Yes, to an extent. We have a very limited army production facilities, quite frankly. We are buying a lot of stuff, we are importing a lot of stuff, but you have to maintain it. We are maintaining it. That's something that is adding to the multiplier. We're also learning by importing. You basically learn this technology and can implement it in-house. We are seeing it in other places like Germany, Japan, where they import stuff and then they are able to maintain it and learn how to produce it in-house. That's something that can lead to something big in the future.
Okay, I also understand that Carney says he hopes the government will join a European defense procurement initiative. It's called Readiness 23. I know it was renamed. What are the implications of that? What does that involve?
Well, that's huge because Readiness 2030 is giving you the budget flexibility to treat defense differently. That's exactly what we are seeing elsewhere. If you look at Germany, defense spending in Germany this year is rising by close to 28%. Japan is seeing a significant increase of about 10% to $8 trillion of defense spending. That's a record high. We see the UK raising their target by 0.5 percentage point. The target in France is actually higher. So clearly there is a move in the Eurozone and the EU in general to increase defense spending, and that's why I'm bullish on defense. Canada will be part of it, and the Readiness 2030 gives you the tools to do so from a budget perspective.
I also want to get you on the Golden Dome idea, which Donald Trump has pushed forward. We know it's going to cost a lot of money. I think Canada's in, or would be, up to $60 billion is the number that was put out by Washington. What do you think of the Golden Dome idea, and is it something Canada needs to invest in?
Well, I think that we should be part of it because we will be protected by it as well. If it's going to happen, and I don't know if it will happen, I don't know if Washington will have the money, but if it happens, it's a major opportunity for Canada to participate in the North American defense system. I think it's a great thing. Also, it will provide major positive spin-offs. We have to remember that a lot of the technology that's going to the defense sector is actually coming from the private sector, because the private sector has basically de facto guarantee from the government to take the risk, and they are doing so. So it's really adding to productivity within the private sector, and it can be used for civil purposes as well. So it's very exciting, quite frankly.
Okay, but would we need to invest in that when we're already investing in Arctic defense? Would it be a needed layer?
It seems that according to what people say, yes, but I don't know if it will happen, if we have the money for that, quite frankly. I really don't know. But if it happens, we should be part of it. If it doesn't, no big deal. But I think that the Trump administration is very serious about it. I don't know if they have the money for that because it's a very expensive endeavor. Now, what it means, however, that this environment is putting positive spin-offs also in the stock market. You know, we are in a fog of uncertainty. Nobody knows what will happen tomorrow, including Trump. But there is one ray of certainty in this fog, and this certainty is defense spending, regardless of the
Sorry, I'm running out of time, so just if you can sum it up.
I sum it up.
Sorry about that, Benjamin. We're trying to get to the markets close, but thank you very much for your time. Appreciate that.